It started as a minor inconvenience. A small dent here, a slight tilt there, nothing too alarming. Just enough damage to make me wonder if some reckless driver had misjudged the curb. But when the damage escalated, and I found my mailbox completely wrecked for the fourth time, I realized this wasn't just an accident. This was personal. My first suspect was immediately clear. Her name was Karen. And Karen wasn't just any neighbor. She was the one. The kind of neighbor who thrived on confrontation, self-importance, and unnecessary drama. She was the type who monitored your lawn's length with military precision, counted the number of cars in your driveway like a private investigator, and filed HOA complaints as though it was her full-time job. Her life revolved around making sure everyone else followed her ridiculous standards, or else they faced the wrath of her incessant complaints. But lately, Karen had taken her suburban reign of terror to a whole new level. For reasons beyond reason, she had fixated on my mailbox. Maybe she saw it as an affront to her perfect little kingdom. Maybe she hated the color, or maybe she simply derived some twisted pleasure from watching me replace it again and again. But one thing was clear: this wasn't going to stop. If she wanted a war, she had just picked the wrong opponent. In hindsight, I should have seen the pattern earlier. The first few incidents were small enough to dismiss: scratches, a minor dent here and there. These were things I could blame on kids riding their bikes too close or a careless delivery driver misjudging the curb. The mailbox wobbled a little, but still stood. It wasn't until that morning, when I stepped outside to grab my newspaper, that I realized just how far this had gone. My mailbox wasn't just dented, it was obliterated. The wooden post had been snapped in half like a twig beneath a boot, and the metal box lay a few feet away, battered beyond recognition. Its door hung open like a gaping wound. Someone had rammed into it with force. This wasn't a careless bump. This was a full-on attack. I looked around, searching for any clues, and that's when I saw them. Fresh tire marks skidding across the pavement, leading right up to where my mailbox had once proudly stood. My stomach twisted. There was no doubt in my mind who was behind this. If you've ever lived in a suburban neighborhood, you probably know a Karen. The neighbor who seems to think they've been personally elected as the ruler of the block. Armed with an inflated sense of authority and an HOA rulebook thicker than a dictionary, Karen was everything you would expect. She had a sixth sense for other people's business, capable of spotting an unapproved lawn ornament from 3 houses away. She spent hours patrolling the neighborhood, peering through curtains like a nosy detective. Worst of all, she had a personal vendetta against anyone who didn't conform to her ridiculous standards. And now, unfortunately for me, I had unknowingly become her latest target. It started with passive-aggressive complaints. My garbage cans were out 5 minutes too early for pickup, and I'd receive a formal notice from the HOA. When my backyard barbecue went a little past 9 p.m., suddenly there was an anonymous noise complaint. But when none of her usual tactics worked on me, she escalated things and my mailbox became the battleground. The mailbox incidents weren't isolated. Over the next few months, the attacks became more frequent and more aggressive. First, it was small dents. Then the entire box got knocked loose, and finally came the full-scale destruction. Splintered wood, twisted metal, and fresh tire marks left as a calling card. It was always after a disagreement. If I ignored one of her HOA complaints, my mailbox suffered. If I parked my car in what she considered the wrong spot, my mailbox suffered. If I so much as looked in her direction the wrong way, my mailbox suffered. By the 5th time I had to replace it, I was beyond frustrated. But what made it worse was her reaction. Every time, she acted like she had nothing to do with it. "Oh, dear," she'd say with a smug little smirk, "you really should be more careful with your placement. Maybe it's too close to the road." Too close to the road? Give me a break. This was intentional. I tried going through the official channels. I reported the incidents to the HOA, but that was useless. Karen practically ran the HOA. I called the police, but without clear evidence, there was little they could do. I even tried setting up a cheap security camera, but somehow, she managed to dodge detection each time. That's when I realized this was never going to stop unless I changed the rules. I had 2 choices: keep playing her game, or turn the tables entirely. One chilly Saturday morning, I stepped outside with a cup of coffee, mentally preparing myself for yet another battle with my mailbox. But when I reached the front yard, my blood ran cold. My mailbox was completely gone. Not just damaged, missing. All that remained was a jagged stump of wood, splinters scattered across the sidewalk like battlefield debris. The metal box was nowhere to be found. Someone had taken the time to remove all evidence of its existence. And standing across the street, with a smug look on her face, was Karen. She wasn't doing anything overtly suspicious, just standing on her porch, sipping her tea, watching me. But the look on her face said it all. She knew exactly what had happened. That was the final straw. I wasn't going to replace another mailbox just for her to destroy it again. I was done playing fair. If she wanted to escalate things, so be it. She had made one crucial mistake. She thought she could keep getting away with it, but she didn't realize I was about to turn the tables on her in a way she never saw coming. I didn't just want to stop Karen. I wanted to make sure she regretted ever messing with me in the first place. So, I came up with the perfect plan, a plan that would end this war once and for all. I stood there, staring at the empty spot where my mailbox had once been. My fists clenched so tight that my nails dug into my palms. The cold morning air did nothing to cool the fire burning inside me. I was done. Done replacing mailboxes. Done watching them get obliterated time and time again. Done letting Karen win. I turned my gaze toward her house. There she was, standing on her porch, cup of tea in hand, eyes locked on me, like she was waiting for my reaction. That smug smirk, the look of satisfaction. She wanted me to break. She wanted me to give up, to admit defeat, to accept that she had the power to make my life miserable. But what she didn't realize was that she hadn't beaten me. She had awakened something in me, a determination I hadn't felt in a long time. A drive to fight back, not just with retaliation, but with something so brilliant, so calculated, that she wouldn't even see it coming. She thought this was her game. Well, I was about to change the rules entirely. I didn't want just another mailbox. No, that wasn't enough. I needed something stronger. Something indestructible. Something that would send a message. So, I spent the next few days researching. At first, I looked into reinforced mailboxes, thicker steel, heavier bases, everything that claimed to be indestructible. But none of them were good enough. They were all designed to survive accidents, not deliberate vehicular attacks. Then, I stumbled upon something interesting. In rural areas, where mailboxes are constantly at risk from snowplows, reckless drivers, and even bears, homeowners had resorted to extreme measures. Concrete reinforced posts, steel core structures, mailboxes designed to absorb the impact of a truck without so much as a dent. That's when it hit me. I wasn't just going to build a reinforced mailbox. I was going to build a fortress. A mailbox so unyielding that whoever hit it next would regret every life choice that had led them to that moment. I spent hours researching materials, testing durability ratings, and watching physics simulations of impact resistance. I consulted legal guidelines to make sure my plan was airtight. I wasn't about to give Karen any ammo to turn this against me. By the time I was done, I had the blueprint for the ultimate mailbox defense system, the Karen-proof fortress mailbox. If I was going to build something that could withstand repeated, deliberate attacks, I needed to go beyond normal materials. I made a list: steel reinforcement, a solid steel pipe post thick enough that it would take a chainsaw to scratch it, and concrete embedding the post in over 200 pounds of reinforced concrete. The mailbox itself had to look normal on the outside, but inside, it would be armored like a tank, with steel plating welded together for maximum impact resistance. The key was rigidity. Normal impact-resistant structures absorb shock to prevent damage, but I didn't want shock absorption. I wanted all the force to be redirected back into the attacker. Karen had used her car against my mailbox before, hitting it in ways that left little evidence. But this time, when she tried to do the same, her car would take the full force of the impact, and it wouldn't end well for her. Now, the real challenge wasn't just building it. It was building it without Karen catching on. She was nosy, she watched everything. If she saw me installing something that looked like a military-grade structure, she'd start asking questions, maybe even try to sabotage it before I finished. So, I had to be careful. I waited. I acted like I'd given up. Let a few days pass without replacing the mailbox. Let her feel like she had won. Let her think I was defeated. Then, on a quiet afternoon when she was gone, I started building. I dug a hole 3 feet deep, wide enough to hold the concrete foundation that would anchor the steel post in place. I poured the concrete in layers, embedding the steel core post as I went. By the time it dried, that post was so solid that it would take an industrial vehicle to move it. Next came the mailbox itself. On the outside, it looked like any other mailbox on the street. But inside, it was an armored tank. Steel plating, bolted together and layered for maximum impact resistance. The entire thing was designed to redirect energy, meaning any car that hit it wouldn't just stop. It would feel like hitting a brick wall at full speed. When I was done, the mailbox looked ordinary, unassuming. But beneath that innocent exterior, it was a steel-clad, impact-destroying, legally unbreakable trap. I stepped back, admiring my work. It was done. And now, all I had to do was wait.